I know it just seems like one big run-on sentence, but it's actually a podcast. Here's what's coming up on The Nice Guys today.
That's when you started to get engagement, and that's when people started to pay attention and really get behind the journey. And that was one of the biggest lessons I learned. Like, as an entrepreneur, it's very easy to get caught in this trap where, because you live and breathe your business every day, you're not that important, right? It's very easy to get lost in this world of self-importance. Newsflash, you are not that important, right? So who cares about top line growth? Who cares about EBITDA? Who cares about M&A activity? What people really care about is values. What's important to you? What's the journey that what's your vision, and how do you want to get people involved in that journey? And that was a big lesson for me. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Doug. I don't make any guarantees, but I'm going to make one guarantee for you on your program. If you're 4 in the ratings right now, after this interview's over, guaranteed you're going to drop to number 5.
At least.
At least. That's because of me, not you.
At least.
Well, looks like I picked the wrong day to give up the Nice Guys on Business podcast. That and sniffing glue. Not that there's a difference. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, welcome back, Funkin' fans. It is Friday. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler.
God, we got to Friday so fast.
I know, right?
So
it's amazing.
Fast. Hey, guess what, Strick?
What?
Just in 2 days, I'll be going on vacation again.
Oh my God! You just got back from vacation.
I know. Summertime's a vacation time. It's the only time that everybody in my family can get together. I went away last week with my wife, as we talked about on Tuesday's show. Next week, I'm going on a cruise. Just me and my daughter, Rachel. We're gonna have a great time. I'm looking forward to it. I don't even really know where we're going. It's just basically a cruise to like beach.
You don't know where you're going?
Well, it's a cruise to the Western Caribbean, but every island, they all look the same to me. Once you get into port, you basically, if you get off the ship at these ports, you're going into all of the stuff that the cruise line owns. So the jewelry stores and the t-shirt shops and the straw thing, and it's usually an island that's owned by the beaches. By the cruise line, so they have their very own beaches. So that's why I say it's like a cruise to nowhere. Western Caribbean, I think we're stopping in San Juan, another Saint something, another, I don't know, all the S's. We're stopping in the S's.
There's a Jimmy Buffett song that's like Saint Somewhere. Like I need to go to Saint Somewhere.
Saint Somewhere. That's exactly what I'm going, just because I just looking forward to disconnecting. When you're on the ship, you really, you can buy their packages. And we talked about that on Tuesday, but there are so many expensive, like, just to stay connected packages that you can get. I'm like, screw it. I'm not taking my laptop. My cell phone's being turned off, and I might send in one text message a day just to say we're alive, no one has fallen overboard. So anyway, today's interview day.
Today.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
sorry.
Matt Rizzetta with North 6 Agency. He goes, their nickname, they go by N6A. So they're a PR company, but it's a great quote on their website that I love from the co-founder of Quizio. It says, his quote is, "We thought we were doing PR until we met N6A." And I love that because, man, as we know and talk about all the time, the world is changing so goddamn fast. And they really, N6A, it's about brand, right? And PR, yeah, sure. It used to be, hey, let's put out a press release and we'll put out ads on the radio or whatever. No, it's, with social media and with Yelp and with everything else, it's like, it's a whole new world. And I could see how a big company could think they were doing PR until they really get deep into it with a company that really knows what they're doing.
Well, and the other side of it too is, I was talking to Matt about this during the interview, is the face of digital agencies, digital media agencies have changed so drastically since Gary Vee came on the scene, because he has really put that entire industry right in the spotlight, where a lot of the PR companies, they kind of took maybe a backhouse approach to to working with their clients, everybody is now in the forefront. I mean, it is so important to be able to understand how to boost your brand and how to really make sure that you cut through all that noise that's out there. Social media is one way. There are so many different ways of putting yourself out there, and the services that N6A offers, you'll hear all about it. Matt, really, really good guy. And I found out that Matt was a little intimidated to be on the show. And can you imagine us intimidating anybody?
No, not at all. Not at all. By the way, if you want to go back and listen to the Gary V interview that Doug did, it's episode 304. So.
Yeah, and I was breathing real heavy during that interview. I was talking to Gary all about just I didn't even know what I was talking about. And you know what? As a part of this conversation that I had with Matt is he really breaks it down to simple science. He makes it very, for a guy that runs a big company. They have like 50 some people as part of their. I don't know exactly how many people they have in their organization, but it seemed like he had like a guy helping connect the two of us. So, whenever you have an assistant helping, I just think, I've really stepped in it now. I've got somebody well beyond our pay grade, right?
No,
right
they are a serious company. They're actually one of the top 10 fastest growing agencies around, and according to their website. And I love the fact that he was intimidated by you, because it just shows that we're also not mainstream. We're not doing what everybody else is doing. We offer something a little bit different. And you got to stay on your toes with that kind of stuff, because you never know. I think the whole philosophy probably of with N6A is it's like, hey, things are changing all the time, and so you got to change with them.
I'm looking at their team and the meet our team page.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that's older than 12, I'm looking at their page. I'm like, Matt's even a young guy. I don't know how
but
old.
Matt, I think Matt looks like he's about 30, But yeah, basically everybody else on the team, it's like they're straight out of college,
nice.
Right?
I love it. They're I don't want to name any names here that look very young, but they all look young. This is like the millennial team. And boy, if you want a team that really knows what they're doing when it comes to the digital space, check out Matt's team. Go to the team page. They actually have a really very, except for Matt, a kind of ugly guy. Everybody else everybody's really good looking. No, Matt, I'm just kidding. Really good looking guy with Matt also. I get a little intimidated when guys are slicking their hair back and they got that really
like
good...
Brian Michelotti. That's some serious hair, Brian. I'm telling you, that's some good shit right there.
Is that hipster hair?
But that's good looking, man.
Look, if you mouse over each one of those, each one of the people, they'll tell you like where they're from.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we got somebody from Hoboken. We got somebody from Queens. We have, wow, yeah, and all the names very, very millennial spelling names. Everybody's name. Oh boy. Well, we won't make fun of their team because they look like a very professional team, and they're all taken in front of that brick wall, so they're serious business.
So you're saying we're not going to make any more fun of their team than we already have?
No, we can make a little bit more fun of Matt. I think he would probably like that. I mean, he is the president of the company. If anybody listens to the episode, they would prefer. Let me look. So he lives in Westchester, New York. He went to Iona College. His hobbies are playing with my 3 daughters, being a news junkie, and rooting for the Jets. I think one of their hobbies should be and listening to the Nice Guys on Business. Now, if he would change that, we might give him like a week or two of sponsorship. What do you think?
Well, maybe after this episode airs, it will. And, I never thought about it. When you're in a company like this, I wonder how many of the employees are going to listen to this interview. That's kind of scary,
I think in this
actually.
particular case, I think that the people that you've already made fun of, I think they're probably going to be listening to the show. And, the ones that are directly next to Matt on the Meet Our Team page, is it Daniela and Nina? They're going to probably get the most, maybe we should make fun of them a little too.
Well, Daniela has been known to win a few talent contests, which I find very interesting. I'm curious what kind of talent she has that she's won contests.
So wait, she's got some hobbies too, traveling, wine tasting. That probably means that she likes traveling and drinking a lot, and concerts and dancing. So this is pretty good. And Nina, what is she? Let's see, DIY. She's a flea market shopper. Yeah.
Oh God, there you go. The world's largest little yard sale for you, Doug. Right? Mm-hmm. She can
All right. Anyway, before we get to the interview with Matt, let's just go over a couple of really quick housekeeping things. If you're listening on Overcast, we appreciate you listening there. But you are slipping. You have not heeded the word that we've given you. Please, please, please take a moment. recommend. Go back to as many episodes as you can and recommend our show. It's just hitting the star button on each episode on Overcast. Please do that. We are still the number one show in the business category, but we have slipped. Strickland, you're going to hate this. We were number 3, as high as number 3 today, as of the recording of this episode. 15, number 15. What? Right, exactly.
15?
15. I'm not happy about this, people.
That's on the recommended. In other words, you guys are not recommending enough. Each individual episode, go back and click the little star and recommend. Please.
Yeah, please do it. Just do it for us. Also, we have many reward levels that we have set up on patreon.com/nice guys, from $1,500 all the way down to just $1. So you can pick anywhere in there that you would like to contribute to the show. Now is your opportunity. We're in the first week of August. Oh my gosh, Strickland, we talked about this on Tuesday.
I know, it's crazy.
95,000 downloads in the month of July. How close to we're gonna go over 100,000. We're gonna go over 100,000 very soon.
August?
One of these. I'm hoping if August isn't the month, I'm hoping that September is, but that gets us even closer to that 1 million download goal that we have as of the November 24th. I think was the day that we're going to do that. November 24th is our goal day to hit 1 million downloads. The more that you guys recommend, the more that you listen, the more that we put this out to other people. Please take a moment, recommend us not only on Overcast, but to support the show on patreon.com/nice guys. Okay. I think
Social Quant, our sponsor today.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
But Doug, can you tell me what it is? I'm still confused on the Social Quant thing.
So imagine wanting a Twitter following, but actually not understanding that you just don't want to buy followers ever, and you just don't want to go out there and just follow people haphazardly. You want people that actually are going to be targeted and fine-tuned into the message that you have. For example, if you're a guy that's a sports trainer, don't you want a lot of people that are involved in athletics that are following you, or
Makes
that
sense.
you are following as well?
Yeah.
With Social Quant, you can actually target and fine-tune into a specific audience that you want to have follow your message. Socialquant.net. That's SOCIALQUANT.net, N-E-T. We'll put the link in the show notes. Just take a moment. Check them out. They have, I think, a 14-day free trial. No credit card is required. No promo code. No anything. Just check them out. Socialquant.net. And you will see how quickly you're going to be able to boost your Twitter followings just by using Social Quant. So just check out Mike Koala. He is the guy that is their CEO and a good buddy of mine and has helped me grow my Twitter following in the last year up to 33,000 Twitter followers. And so it may not be 1 million, and I'm not looking for 1 million. I am just looking for a specific following, and Mike and his gang over at Social Quant has helped us do that. Okay, cool. So we've got our sponsor. We've done the housekeeping. We've made fun of Matt, Daniela, and Nina. I think it is now time to get to our interview. Matt Rizzetta here on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Let's do it. So we finally have done it. In addition to Lou Diamond from Thrive Loud being a fan of the show and then a guest, we found the other one, Matt Rizzetta. Now, when not listening to the Nice Guys, Matt is the CEO of a company called N6A, one of the coolest spaces at the hottest PR firms. Well done, Matt, and welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast, my brother.
Doug, appreciate the time. Good speaking to you. Big fan of the show.
Hey, thanks, man. And I appreciate you saying that. Now, I didn't have to pay you to say that, but I got to start here, Matt.
Yeah.
What the heck were you thinking? Why would someone of your level of expertise and success possibly, what would you get from being a fan of our show?
I'll tell you, I've learned a lot about business and a lot about leadership listening to you through the years. I was telling my wife this morning, funny story before we even get going, Doug. So I'm leaving my house this morning, and my wife looks at me and she goes, are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. Why? She goes, no. I know you, Matt, and you look stressed and nervous. You sure everything is okay? So finally I tell her, so I'm going on this podcast today that I'm a big fan of. And she says, well, what's the problem? You've done 1 million of these things. So I tell her, well, you see, this one is totally different from the others. I'm huge fans of these guys. They know their stuff. They know business inside and out. But the format is totally unlike anything I'm used to. It's more sort of Joe Rogan style, raw and unfiltered. So my wife goes to me, well, what's the problem? I said, it's kind of like, and I say this in a very affectionate way, but I said, it's almost like I'm talking to two knuckleheads from the old neighborhood about business. Yeah. So my wife goes, oh, well, if that's the case, you're going to do great. And then she just kisses me goodbye and sends me on my way. So I'm driving into the office this morning, and then I'm kind of thinking about that backhanded compliment. Two knuckleheads from the old neighborhood, Matt, no problem, you got this. But when you do interviews where you actually have to sound smarter than you are, then you're in trouble. So long story short, I'm looking forward to this one in particular because I could finally talk like it's a few folks from my old neighborhood.
No, and that's precisely what we always intended to make it that way. It took us about a year and a half for us to really figure out. And when we started to turn the corner and we started to have more of a conversation and less of a let's try to create whatever business lessons that we are, when we just started to be the real guys that we know that Strick and I are, and then the guests started to be that way too. Yeah. That's when we started to see the biggest results. Our guests were sharing the podcast with their listening audience or their fans a little bit more. And that's when it all started to come together. So hats off to you for no reason to be nervous. I was excited when I heard that you wanted to be on the show, man.
Yeah.
And then I started doing some research about you. I'm like, holy shit, why does this guy even want to be on our show? He doesn't need us.
No, we've been going 8 years at this, Doug, at N6A. We built a great culture, great people. Really proud of what we're doing. I really think we're just beginning to scratch the surface. So I'm excited about what's to come for sure.
Well, reading into some of your content, Matt, you wrote this, and I'm gonna quote you here. You probably love when you get quoted. Uh-oh. So let me quote you. When you start out, you are in survival mode. Totally what you said. When you start out, you're in survival mode. In our company's case, our survival mode days were all about an underdog journey, a tale of beating the odds and being told that we were wrong, a tale of loyalty and giving back. So just talk about that for a second and tell me what that means to you, because I'm really curious why you were an underdog, what the survival mode thing is all about, and just share what that means to you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when we started our business, when I started N6A, I was 26 going on 27. I mean, I was a baby, and at least for a services business, you see a lot of young entrepreneurs in tech businesses and product businesses, but in services businesses, usually, you tend to see older founders just because it's client service and it takes a while to get a Rolodex and a customer base going. So I rolled the dice big time. I started our agency. I quit my job. My wife was 8 months pregnant working at PS 205 public school in Brooklyn. She just went on maternity leave, and I came home one day and I had this crazy idea to start North 6 Agency, N6A as we've become known through the years. And, she gave me her blessing, let me do it. And, the first year or so, going back to your question about survival mode, I mean, the first year is all just about survival. It's about what are the statistics, 90% of or 80% of startups fail in their first year. And then I think it goes to 90% in year 2, right? So you're just all about proving yourself. You need to prove yourself, and you need to get clients. You need to convince clients to work with you. You need to convince staff to join you on this journey. And it's really all just about survival. And that's, we're big on culture, as you know, Doug. And that's really, in my opinion, that the infancy of anyone's business, that year 1, year 2, when you're in survival mode, that's really when your culture is molded.
So Matt, take me through that beginning part, because I think that's probably where many people are that are listeners to the show. I know that I've been there many times before with many different things that I've gotten involved with and started. What's the healthy balance between business development and networking and operations and research and development? What's the healthy mix that you were able to kind of beat the odds and make it through that first year and then the second year and beyond? Where did you find you were putting most of your time that was of value?
Well, Doug, it's a great question, and I'll tell you, God's honest truth. That survival mode phase of our business, at least in my case, honestly, it's about surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and people who have an action first, not a words first mindset. So, there's this whole pay it forward mentality, right? And you need to surround yourself with people who believe in you, who trust you, who give you a chance, who give you the ball, and then it's on you to really run with the ball. And I was very fortunate, when I got our business started, whether it was my family, my wife, my parents, my grandparents, who we named the business after, our first batch of clients, these were all really, action first people who put their faith and put their loyalty in my hands and gave me an opportunity to get our business off the ground. And, you talk about allocation of resources and time, biz dev versus IT versus operations. The most important thing, in my opinion, when you're in that survival mode, is just to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people, because you need that support system behind you. Otherwise, you're going to fail.
And speaking of which, it's really interesting. As I was doing a little research and finding out some info on you, you say you can sometimes get your best business advice from someone who is underqualified on paper but still has the balls to walk the walk. I mean, I guess I paraphrased what you were saying there. Share with what that means to you personally.
Yeah, I mean, my wife, for example, my wife is the last. My mother, these are the last people in the world who, they don't know anything about business. I mean, my mother, my wife, teachers, incredibly hardworking, but just, they weren't entrepreneurs, they weren't business yet. I've learned more in my entrepreneurial journey from lessons they've taught me about life than any business, than any business contact or business leader I've come across. And that's my whole philosophy, Doug. When you go at this long enough, and we're in our 8th year here at N6A, you get to a point where, like, I found out my personal life and my business life were intertwined. So I was fearful a little bit for the first year or two when we started N6A. I don't want to carry my personal life into my work life. And then I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? Forget that. It's one and the same. The values I believe in on a personal level, loyalty and sacrifice and giving back and, all that kind of stuff. Those are values that I also want our business to stand for in a corporate setting. And when I kind of came to terms with that, I really feel like our business took off, and that traces its roots back to people that inspired me that don't really have any business acumen. They just taught me a lot about how to live my life.
Yeah, and I agree. Getting advice from your wife and getting advice from your mom and the most unlikeliest places sometimes creates the best results. And in your case, it seems like that was the case as well.
No doubt.
So I hear you also like to take a punch. So so talk about your experience in the ring and tell me how you put it to good use as a CEO.
Well, you're going back a long way now, Doug. I was too small. I was big into sports, but I was always too small to play football or certainly basketball, even though I love basketball. So when I was late high school, early college years, I took up boxing. They matched you up by weight classes, so size wasn't necessarily a disadvantage, and wasn't a very good boxer. I think I made the quarterfinals one year of the Golden Gloves here in New York. That was the best. I think I got knocked out in about 45 seconds in that fight. But my boxing journey wasn't the most successful in the ring, although it did teach me a lot about life and certainly about business that I've been able to take with us as we've built N6A.
So tell me about some of the discipline that you learned in the ring. I mean, it's like, hey, be able to take a punch, be able to give it back. I mean, give me an analogy or something that you might use from the boxing ring in business today, or maybe there's nothing. I don't know.
You came prepared with all the boxing cliches, right?
Right.
I'll tell you the best one is Mike Tyson has a famous quote, which is really true in business. Everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face, which is true. And that's really true. But no, I'll tell you, look, boxing taught me a lot. I mean, number one, it taught me about incredible discipline. I used to, for 3 years of my life when I was boxing, I'm up at 5 a.m., I'm doing road work, I'm studying, going to class, get home from class, go to the gym, watch what I eat, study film, didn't drink, all that kind of stuff, watch your diet. So, that taught me a lot about discipline in the business world. And even though it's a different skill set and certainly a different mindset, it's really the same. It taught me about routine and discipline. It taught me a lot about respecting the opposition. People who have been on this journey here with N6A through the years, they certainly know that we don't have an inferiority complex at all. I mean, I've gotten in a little bit of trouble with client prospects because they'll talk about huge global agencies and why should we choose N6A when there's huge global agencies that have been around for generations. And I'll come at them, and I don't have any inferiority complex. I believe that we're just as qualified, and the 50 some odd people we have here in New York and Toronto are just as qualified to do the job for them as anybody. But we respect the competition, we respect the opposition. We don't fear them, but we respect them. And I think that that's really a value that you learn in boxing is any person, man, woman, big, small, who steps in the ring, you don't necessarily fear them, but I'll tell you, you respect the hell out of them.
Hey, I was reading in one of the articles that was either written by you or for you in Forbes. I don't remember if you were interviewed. I just remember seeing some of the stuff that you had done. You were talking about taking one of your customer-centric company core beliefs and making it your own for a month. For example, 1 month it was going to be responsiveness, so you were hanging on the Nordstrom's theme with that one. Another month it was Amazon's theme of being highly personalized. Share what you learned through that, because it sounds like what a great adventure that you guys went on. It doesn't even sound like you did it for your customers. You did it more for the internal culture. Have I got that right, or is that wrong?
1,000%. And the philosophy was, if we do it internally for our culture to bring some kind of challenge and unique differentiator to our team, here at N6A, the end result would be there would be a spillover effect, and it would have an improvement in our customer service and in our product, which it did. Just to kind of explain the rationale behind that, that was our Year of the Customer program you're referring to, Doug. My whole thing is this, and again, I have nothing but respect for other agencies in our environment, in the PR, communications, media environment. But, I'm not historically, I don't compare ourselves to other agencies. Like, I'm so focused on setting our own standards for N6A that, I talk to other agency owners. I know what's going on in the landscape. I'm a CEO, so obviously I have to study what's going on in the marketplace. But I'm really about trying to create our own set of standards and bringing N6A to a point where, we're seen as a leader in our category. And the only way to do that, in my mind, in my opinion, is to look at what leaders in other categories outside of our industry are doing. And that's what we did for the Year of the Customer. So we pulled, we took a page from playbooks of companies in other industries and how they differentiated their customer service. 6-minute response time was modeled after something Nordstrom did. We were crazy enough to actually have a 24/7 month where we worked a night shift. That was modeled after something LL Bean did. They were the first brand to have a 24/7 service experience in store for their customers in the 1950s. We gamified our whole agency after something the U.S. Army did and Virgin Airlines did in the summer, where we literally had a scoreboard, and anytime one of our account teams would get a hit for a client, the scoreboard would light up. And this all culminated on Labor Day weekend, where the winning team, whichever one had the most points, got either their choice of either a big bonus or a trip to go work anywhere they wanted in the world for a week. So these were all modeled after pages we took out of other leaders of industries, playbooks outside of media.
It's great. I mean, I was looking at the list. I mean, it looked like American Express. You worked on your listening skills for that month. Burberry. You worked on Tradition, The Body Shop. You worked on Philanthropy, Discretion with Ritz-Carlton. I mean, so many really cool lessons to learn. But what I took away from it was, man, you did exactly what you said earlier. It's the trickle-down effect. It was not, let's do this so that the customer can actually win. That's the end result. The end game is the customer's going to win. But if we do this internally, look what's going to happen through this trickle-down effect. It's going to reach our customers eventually also. And what a great way to run an organization. Hats off for making it happen that way.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll tell you, we're not, I mean, our business, and I tell people this all the time, our business basically is just, and we're 8 years into it, is just the manifestation of 8 years of not being afraid to experiment, not being afraid to sort of push the envelope, not being stupid about it, holding ourselves accountable and fixing mistakes and making improvements when things don't work out. But that comfort level with experimentation really has been the lifeblood of our business.
I agree, and it really is epitomized through this appearance that you had, and exemplified, I guess is a better word. This appearance that you had on a media appearance, this media appearance you had. I was listening to it. It comes to this. So you're so people focused, and what's so amazing about it is you mentioned on this one appearance that you did, you mentioned a shout out to your staff prior to even talking about your company and what you were there to do. You said something about, hey, I have a staffer that came from this part of town. It looks like the most effective way to handle PR is to look at HR first. Then I think that was either a quote from you or the guy that was interviewing you. Yeah. At what point did you start to take on that philosophy, or have you been that way since day one?
No, I mean, we've been like that. Obviously, you learn lessons along the way, and you're always looking to make improvements. But I think that people first culture is something that's been a part of the fabric, at least of our company here at N6A from day one. I mean, what you find out in time, Doug, and I told our staff this. We just did a mid-year company review session, and I told our staff, I just laid out 8 years, 8 lessons, just laid it all on the line. These are the biggest lessons I've learned as a leader in 8 years. And, you need to be transparent about that. You need to be communicative about that. As a leader, I think it's important to understand that you can be a little bit personal. I remember doing speeches, and I would meet with young entrepreneurs and college students, and I would talk to them about, this is way back in the day, and I would talk to them about business lessons and business advice, and I would talk about things like EBITDA and burn rates and M&A plans, and all I would see would be people would glaze over that. They would be on their cell phones, totally tuned out. And then when I started talking about my personal life and how that impacted business, that's when you started to get engagement, and that's when people started to pay attention and really get behind the journey. And that was one of the biggest lessons I learned. Like, as an entrepreneur, it's very easy to get caught in this trap where, because you live and breathe your business every day, you're not that important, right? It's very easy to get lost in this world of self-importance. Newsflash, you are not that important, right? So who cares about top line growth? Who cares about EBITDA? Who cares about M&A activity? What people really care about is values. What's important to you? What's the journey that what's your vision, and how do you want to get people involved in that journey? And that was a big lesson for me.
Yeah, what a great lesson to learn also. And I agree with you 100% about the idea of people don't want to hear your buzzwords, and they're not looking for all of the knowledge that they know, that They want to hear about the struggles that you had to overcome. They want to hear, unfortunately, about a sickness that you went through and built up a triumph. They want to talk about the struggles that you had in writing that book and what it meant to you, to be able to accomplish. I mean, all of that shit, the stuff that we think is so personal to us, that's what people, and I think that's to whatever degree that we've had a success with this show. I think when we started to put down let me ask you the 10 questions to get the 10 answers from our interview subjects, that's when I started seeing this huge growth, when we started to engage and share personal stories. How can it be it's got to be that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, 1,000%, Doug. And that's why you guys are successful. I mean, that's why I know I've been a listener of yours for a long time. Now, speaking of which, I know you're very attuned to your ratings, Doug. Where are we at right now in terms of ratings relative to Mr. Ferris and those guys?
All right. So thank you for asking the question. I appreciate it. As of the date that we are recording this, we're number 4 in the overall category on Overcast for all of their podcasts. And we are number 1 in the business category and have been there for about 2 months now. But it really does. And thank you for asking that. But you're the expert when it comes to some of this stuff. So help me for a second, because we know all about podcasting, but we know nothing about branding and that side of things. So I figure while I have you on the show, I may as well steal some of your free PR consulting time while I have you here.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Doug. I don't make any guarantees, but I'm going to make one guarantee for you on your program. If you're 4 in the ratings right now, after this interview's over, guaranteed you're going to drop to number 5.
At least.
At least. That's because of me, not you.
At least.
Yeah.
What can a show, somebody like us, what could we do to get our brand to the next level? We do nothing. I mean, other than just doing the show and engaging our audience. What do we need to do from a professional standpoint to get to the next level?
Look, I think you need to embrace your differentiators, right? Just like any business would. And at N6A, I'll tell you right now, our differentiators in this incredibly oversaturated, crazy media services world today is 2 things. It's speed, we work fast, and it's data. We measure our stuff for clients, right? And it's transparent. In your case, obviously, your differentiators better than anyone. From the outside looking in, as a longtime listener, it's that it's not the standard, vanilla 10-question business leadership show. It's that it's conversational, it's informal, it's kind of Joe Rogan style, and I would embrace that if I were you guys. That's the special sauce, and that's what's making you guys successful. I mean, look, number 4, it's crazy. Look at how far you guys have come in such a short period of time.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate you saying that. We are the small fish in the small pond, or we're a bigger fish now in a smaller pond of Overcast. But we haven't even we're not even scratching the surface on iTunes. I just don't know how to even approach that audience and get those people to listen to us. Because the problem is that while we're number 1 on Overcast, we're number 270 something on iTunes and not even on their charts. So how do we approach that market? I have no idea how to even do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Doug, it's an interesting question. I think when you talk about what you're getting at right now is something we work with our clients hand in hand with all the time. And it's customization according to audience, right? So your iTunes audience is different from, your other audiences. And obviously, in terms of what the message that's being delivered, the mediums that you're using to communicate both to the existing audience and to prospective audiences, it's not a one size fits all approach. So there needs to be a level of customization approach with that. Like when we have clients, we'll have B2B clients say, look, we want national business press and we want trade press. Just like you're saying, we want to boost in the iTunes ratings and we want to maintain our ratings across some of the other mediums. Well, guess what? The approach and the strategy that works for the national mainstream press might not be and likely isn't the same strategy that's going to work for the vertical trades or the broadcast trades. And you need to understand the love language of those other channels and be able to speak to it.
Yeah, we really are so organic in our growth that we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And I guess that's the end result. And then we have to figure out, okay, now that we have this audience and we have this great ranking, what happens next? Do we have a product or service that we can offer to them? We don't even, and I'm again being completely transparent, we don't sell our audience anything. We have no advertising at all.
It's incredible. I mean, that speaks volumes to the growth you guys have had in the ratings. I'll tell you one thing, Doug. In my journey and kind of growing N6A, one lesson I learned in terms of getting to that next level was I know you can identify with this, and I'll bet my house on the fact that you'll agree with this. Don't be afraid to do some crazy stuff. By the way, my SVP of operations told me not to curse. I was going to replace stuff with something else. But don't be afraid to do some crazy stuff. Like, I'll give you a good example. We're at a point in our business where we're starting 8 years into this, a lot of sweat, elbow grease, but we got to a point where we're in the game. We are recruiting the best of the best in terms of talent, the best of the best in terms of clients. And there was like a huge enterprise global company that we were a finalist for, customer, right? And this is a piece of business we wouldn't have even sniffed 7 or 8 years ago, but we're in the game. 10 agencies they're looking at. We're one of them. We meet with them. They narrow the list down to 5, have a follow-up meeting, do a deck. They narrow the list down to 2. So now it's one and it's us and one other finalist, right?
Yeah.
And the CEO, I find out there's about a week before we're going to hear back. And the CEO of this company is going on a trip with his family to Greece. And I text him and I'm like, all right, you're going to Greece. Have a great time. It's one of my favorite places. My wife and I went there on our honeymoon. It's where we conceived our first child, Viviana. So that might be a little TMI. Sorry about that.
Talk to your operations guy. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I figured if I can't drop the S or the F bombs, let me at least get it. So find out the hotel he's staying at with his family. And we just met this guy a month ago, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I want to show him how badly we want his business. So he shows up at his hotel, and waiting for him there is a nice bottle of champagne with a note, enjoy your vacation, waiting for you. When you come back, we're chomping at the bit to work together. Hopefully we get a chance to team up. And I went through back and forth, like, is that a little too much? I just met this guy and he's got a family, like they're going to show up on a family vacation and they're going to see a gift waiting for them from some business. Like, is that a little too much? And I was like, screw it. We want the business. We wanted to show him that we want to differentiate ourselves. We want the ball in our hands. And, ultimately we did get them as a customer. And it's just like, don't be afraid to do some crazy stuff, like experiment, do some crazy stuff. And if you fail, at least you have some good stories to tell, right?
Yeah, agree. I mean, we've tried many things. We did the text to join for a while. We've done Funkin' Fan Bingo. We've done the T-shirt giveaway. I mean, we do stuff that we know that a lot of podcasts, especially business podcasts, it's a I forget how we label the show, but it's something like a dose of business thrown in, or a dose of fuckery spoiled by moments of business brilliance, or something like that. Yeah. We don't know. We just figure we're going to keep trying stuff. In the meantime, we've grown this audience that we keep hearing from other podcasters. Are like, how the hell have you grown an audience to basically 100,000 listeners in the course of a month? How do you do that? And I have no fucking clue, other than knowing that we're just being ourselves and just being genuine and being who we are. We're going to figure out how to make capital out of it at some point. But right now, we're just having a great time doing it. And
that'll get you far in life, Doug. I mean, look, your passion seeps through, your podcast, obviously, and your show, and that's important. I'll tell you, Doug, one thing I learned in 8 years, just as far as building our business and differentiating our culture, you want to build a winning culture, and you want to make bets on winners. And winners, people think about winners and they just assume, oh, that's Doug Sandler, he's a winning host, right? Or he's a winning DJ back in the day. It's not just about your talent. That your performance is one aspect of winning, but there's a lot more to building a winning culture and recruiting winning people than just talent. It's winning talent, it's winning attitudes, it's winning spirits. And if you surround yourself with a winning culture and then you commit to recruiting and rewarding that winning culture and giving back to them proportionately to what your people put in to your business or your vision, your podcast, you're going to get out what you put in. And that's something that I've learned, and it's really helped us along the way.
So when are you starting the N6A podcast, Embrace the Pace? Are you ready?
We just moved into our new office here, our headquarter office in New York, in Soho. And I built a stage. So we have the infrastructure, man. We got the infrastructure, our Embrace the Pace stage. So maybe we'll look into that.
Well, I gotta have a conversation with Strickland, because if there's one thing that I think that we need, it's what you have. And if you guys start a podcast, I would love to be the guy to produce it for you, because I know we could do, based upon your skill set and the guys that you have and women that you have working in your office. I know that you have the depth to have a many seasons long podcast.
Would love it. What if we did like an Embrace the Pace series? All we did was talk fast, and we squeezed 2 hours worth of content into half an hour show.
Oh, this already, it sounded like a great idea. I'm ready for the meeting. I'm ready to come up to Soho. I'm good with this.
You're the man.
Hey, last question for you, and then I want to hit you with a personal question. You have this thing called a bucket list. So share the idea of this concept with you. And by the way, I love that video you sent. By the way, holy crap. So we set this interview up, a week or two ago, or maybe it was a couple days ago. I can't exactly remember.
Yeah.
At that point, I've been hit with about 27 emails from you with, hey, mention this. Hey, don't forget we should talk about that. What's up with you, man? Overkill. I like to do my own research.
Oh, man. You're killing me, Doug. You're killing me. Look, we do a lot of stuff, and obviously I'm passionate about what we're doing here, so we get excited about these things, but we want to give back to our people. So the bucket list you talked about, we have 2 signature competitions for our top performers. First half of the year wins our N6 Getaway award competition, which is a 10-day all expense paid trip and $3,000 on top of it to basically any one of 6 awesome destinations of their choice. We've done Bali, we've done Paris, we've done Amalfi Coast before. The bucket list rewards the winner of our second half competition. Top performing N6Aer for the second half of the year gets an all expense paid trip to a bucket list event of their choice. So, we've done Sundance Film Festival, we've done music festivals in Ibiza before. Those are our top performer competitions, and I'm really excited. We actually just started our second half of 2017. So that video I sent you has all of the bucket list options for this year's winner. Yeah,
man. I'm trying to figure out how do I get to be an affiliate so I can sell some shit for you so I can get one of those. I want one of those trips.
Forget it. Well, I was going to say, forget about affiliate, Doug. Just become an employee. I got a spot on our org chart waiting for you whenever you want, man.
Hey, listen, we could take this show on the road. I have no problem doing that at all. Hey, what was I going to ask you? Shit, I can't even remember where I was headed.
Personal. I already shared the conception of my first daughter, which I'm sure is going to love this when she hits her teen years. So.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll make sure we send her links in the show notes and all that stuff as well. Hey, so you get an invitation in the mail, and it's to a party. On the bottom left-hand corner, you got this thing that says dress code. So, you either can get like a black tie preferred or something like that. What would be the dress code that you'd want to get in order to make it a party that you know that you're going to have a fun time at?
Jeans and a t-shirt, for sure. Jeans and a t-shirt, man. Listen, I've been to enough black tie affairs. I want real people, real emotions, real conversations. Put somebody in jeans and a t-shirt, and buy a pizza here from New York Bagel, something like that, and I'm good to go.
Hey man, that sounds awesome. Hey, how can our listeners, our Funkin' fans, our nice guy community get in touch with you if they wanted to get more info about N6A?
Well, if you're a prospective client, go to n6a.com. That's our website. N6A, short for North 6 Agency. If you're, we're actively recruiting. We have like this New York Giants style recruiting philosophy, just best available talent. We're constantly recruiting at all levels, and we're trying to recruit the best of the best. I talked about building that culture of winners, winning talent, winning attitudes, winning personalities. So from a recruiting perspective, if you're interested in working at N6A, check out competeandcare.com. That's our recruiting portal. It goes over all of our competitions and our perks, bucket list, N6 Getaway, all the stuff we do here. So check that out, and feel free to reach out if you're interested. Right now we have offices, obviously headquartered here in New York. We just opened an office in Toronto. So if you're on the East Coast or you're up north of the border, give us a shout.
Hey, that sounds kind of cool. So tell me honestly, and you got to share this personal experience with me if you've had one. How much of a pain in the ass is Gary Vaynerchuk and his VaynerMedia?
Man, listen, I remember we started, one of our first clients, a company called Net Prospects, we worked with back in 2010, when we first started N6A. They were really early in the social media influencer game, and they told me about Gary Vaynerchuk before he was Gary Vaynerchuk, right? And now he's like the it guy in that whole influencer space. But I'll tell you, he's a genius, and you can get helpful advice and tips from anyone. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff I've learned from a lot of these influencers, and Gary certainly is one of them. You can't be in our space and ignore the contributions he's had over the past decade now, which is crazy. It's been a decade.
Yeah, but most people are going to say, I had Gary V on the show, and we had him on the show, and it was great. But you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say I had Matt Rizzetta on the show, and he was better.
You're the man. Well, I don't know about that. I'll tell you, my wife, thank God for my wife, because I was nervous coming on. I'm telling you, Doug, I do serious interviews. We talk about brands in crisis, Uber, United. We talk about serious business. So coming on this show today, my wife was like, what the hell are you nervous about? I'm like, I've never talked to somebody like about business like I'm talking to them on the stoop here in the neighborhood. So she's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you hang out with idiots. Like, you've been your best friends today are friends you grew up with. Like, talk to them like your friends." So it's funny.
Well, there you have it. we've been raised to a new level. Strick and I, there is no doubt that we are totally idiots.
Listen, you can be, by the way, let's make that, can you make that like you talk about getting your iTunes ratings up, make that the subject line. Become an idiot with Matt Rizzetta and Doug Sandler. I'll tell you, come work for us anytime. Strick might have a problem because I know he curses more than you do. And one of our now my executive vice president, Daniela Mancinelli, who's a rock star, who, by the way, just on a serious note, is home in California listening to this, taking care of her mother, who's very sick, very ill right now. So I just want to send her my thoughts and prayers. But Daniela started as a group lead for us, and she came from California, probably never said a curse word in her life when she arrived here in our headquarters in New York. And she had this penalty box where anytime one of her direct reports or her team members would curse, you'd have to pay a fine, and you'd put money into the envelope or the box. And I'll tell you right now, you could work for me anytime, Doug. If Strick ever came to work for us, he would have a problem with that penalty box, because I think he would be paying me to work for me by the end of the year.
Yeah, man, you could possibly be right, and I don't, I haven't ever put a scorecard up, but I would have to maybe disagree. I think that possibly I might curse more. Well, you know what? He's got more curses per square. No, I have more per, because he's only doing the intros a lot of times when the show's, and only Tuesdays and Thursdays. I get all 5 days a week, so I might have more curse words, but he's got more curses per square minute of show.
I'll tell you, that's a good differentiator for you guys. Why don't we start measuring curses per second, or curse per, that we go out with that live to the world, and all of a sudden, iTunes listenership goes up tenfold. I promise you.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so funny, Matt. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show. I knew it was going to be a good episode. Nice guy community. I do apologize. Matt and I worked through some technical issues. I probably try to put this at the beginning of the show just a little bit. He's on a I don't know, what the fuck are you on, some conference call thing?
I'm not dropping F-bombs, but I'm on a freaking bad connection here, dog. That's
but I knew it was going to be a great conversation, so I figured that it was worth having the technical issues that we had to get this thing aired. We promise we'll have him in the studio one day, or I'll go up to New York and we'll do a remote. Hey, that's what we should do, Matt. I'll come up to New York and we'll do a remote recording directly from your office.
Am I paying you for that, or is that pro bono?
No, we'll do that in exchange for some branding services. How about that?
We just opened a new 8,000 square foot office right here in the heart of Soho. So I gotta be cash cost. We have to be cash conservative for the next couple months. I'll hang with you anytime.
Yeah, how about we decide that we're not going to pay each other anything. We're just going to share each other's expertise. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what mine is. I know what yours is, but I'm trying to figure out mine.
I think you're underrating yourself, my man.
Hey, Matt, I appreciate everything that you've said, everything you've done. Thank you for being here, and really thanks for your contributions and for being a Funkin' fan of the show. Hell yeah, man.
I'm a big Funkin' fan, I'll tell you that much. And Doug, congrats on everything you guys are doing. You're the man. I look forward to continuing to follow you guys.
Hey, thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Nice guy community. Never underestimate the power of nice. We'll make sure we put all of Matt's info in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the nice guys. Haven't they run out of people willing to talk to them yet?
We've made fun of Matt, Daniela, and Nina. I think it is now time to get to our interview. Matt Rizzetta here on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Let's do it. Okay.
That was actually good intro.
Well, as good as we're going to get. All right, let me close that.
Oh, God, I might have to put that in as an Easter egg at the end. That'd be pretty funny, actually.